Okay, well, hello and welcome back to the Revit videos on the commercial building that we've been creating here. What we've been talking about before is that it is everything that we're doing here doesn't make any sense to not to even do if we aren't actually put it to like a paper space, put it into some sort of a document that you could hand into your city or whatever that you need to get the approval for your building, or if who knows if there was a situation where you didn't need to do that, I guess you would still need to hand it to your the construction team that's going to have to build this. So to make this into a drawing rather than just 3D renderings, which is fun and it's neat to look at, and actually, there is a benefit to this where you wouldn't have to necessarily put these things into a paper space type of format. Is that actually one of the great things about this program is that you can actually, if you're making video game type scenery, for example, a lot of this type of stuff that you're doing, you can actually import this into different video game or different video engines. So that's kind of a neat thing. But for that case, you wouldn't need to put it into paper space clearly. But if you're actually trying to get it built in the real world and wasn't in say Unreal Engine or something like this that you're trying to put this into, then yeah, you're going to have to put this into paper space. Otherwise, it's just a drawing that looks neat and you can show your friends and that's cool, but it's not really doing anything for anybody. So what we have here is actually at the bottom of the project browser, near the bottom anyways, it has a little label that says Sheets. We can open that up, and I've got one in there already because I've kind of been playing around with stuff, but you could have sheets in there, and you can add you can either search for them, and that's how I got mine in there. We can show you that right now, searching for it. And you'd have something where you might already know the label that you're looking for. You can go in there and put in a new sheet, which is probably what we'll end up doing, and you can load in other sheets. That they have a bunch of different title blocks, depending on what size it is that you'd like to put your piece of paper into, and here we've got E and a D sheet that they've already got for your paper space. Commonly around where I'm at, they want you to submit your drawings into the city at a D size paper. And there's actually, in fact, if you need to make sure that you have your paper the right size, or there's a lot of districts that will just kick back your drawings. They won't even look at it if it's the wrong size. And if it's not what they're after, the right line types, all that razzmatazz has got to be in there the proper way. So what I'm going to end up doing is maybe I'll load up this D size paper. You could load up. There's a bunch that they have in there in that same area where we were looking at before to find all the families. You go down into there, and they actually have almost at the bottom. It's under title blocks, and you open that up. You've got A size paper, B, C, D, E, and there'll be a way of doing it one way versus the other way, and these ones will have maybe different border type features to them in some cases where it makes sense to have maybe a different number. Anyway, so we're gonna load in. I've already got mine in there. We're gonna load into a D type size paper, and that will bring us into this. Obviously, when you're handing in your paperwork, they've got their Autodesk logo here, You're not going to want that there. That's not. I mean, none of this is just for examples. All this stuff is just to sort of show what you could put in there. Certainly, you can change all this out and write in all your information as you see fit. And actually, you can do all that in this here side scroll. Approved by, and I don't know, I'll just put me, quite literally, just put me in there. Designed by me. Well, maybe checked by, who knows, maybe you're Tom. I don't know who your checker is. Drawn by me again. And this, your sheet numbers, and this will be down in here. This will all change all this stuff as you're going along here. And you can see that, as I said, this is drawn by me, checked by Tom. It's changing these as we're putting them in. And you have all this that you can do. You can rename all of this stuff, the sheet name, whatever it is you're trying to do. So in this case, that's what we've got. We can double click on the thing to edit the whatever it is that's in here also. So if we wanted to get rid of where it says Autodesk, we could get rid of that. We could get rid of a lot of these types of things and just put in our own script in there. Maybe I'll do that just to show us here. Get rid of Autodesk. And then if we wanted to put in something, then we can actually import some text in there. And see, I'm just going to put Revit project. Revit project tutorial. I mean, whatever. It doesn't. You know what you'd end up having to put your title of whatever it is that's in there. Maybe you've got in here we've got something else that we want. Maybe you'd have your www dot whatever, email address or something like that. Your website for your place of business might go there. In here we've got similar types of things, right? So if we have that, we can adjust all these things. Consultant address, it has that over and over and over again. You can certainly adjust whatever it is that's in here. So if we wanted to add in more text to that, then consultant. We'll expand this so it doesn't just jump right off to the side here. So we can put that in there. I don't know. Like, obviously, I probably am not the consultant. Address 123 123 Fake Street. Just you can add in all of that kind of stuff. 555 1234. Who knows? Anyways, so you can add that in there now, and we'll load that into the project. Okay, do I want to save changes to this? Well, I guess I technically wouldn't really want to, because we'd want to maybe change it and maybe rename it, right? So we'd save it, but we'd make sure we renamed it so we're not changing the families, the actual one that's in the title block bit here. So we can actually change this up and say, maybe in this case it's for Revit tutorial, and I'll just save it. So then I'll save it and I'm bringing it into our project. And we'll get rid of this one that's here. that we can put all that in there, but we can get rid of this one that's here, and actually I'll delete that one, delete this one, bring in the new sheet. We have, then we'll load in our one that we've created. So that'll bring this one here in, that I've modified to say, it's a Revit project tutorial, whatever addresses were in there. And once again, you can change all the stuff up in here. Let's call all the information that would be down in here, or a lot of it anyways, will be available to put in into this as well. So there we have it. We've got, you can actually change up if you'd like to make your own, like as I said before, when we're doing this, I'll go back into this. I'm not gonna keep redoing all this. We could just get rid of all of the stuff that's in here and make our own completely. If we wanted to make up our own title block and our own borders and everything, clearly, I mean, we could just get rid of the lot. You could say get rid of this border line here. I don't know. We could do a bunch of different stuff here. We'll create. That should be able to give us modify. You can actually draw up your own plans on here, like your own. All of the stuff that you have in here, you can actually draw it up and import it into here anyways. So I'm not gonna get too crazy with that. I mean, here's your lines for drawing your whatever it is that you're trying to do. If we wanted to have a border around here or whatever, you certainly could do that. Here's your the drawing bit. I don't know, we'll grab all this and get rid of it. Just to show you what the heck. Get rid of it. Show you that you can do it. And we could just quickly create. We'll grab lines. You can draw your. So the borders, if you wanted to. Maybe put another one in there. And how they had theirs in here. We've got, it's pretty simple stuff, really. And you just draw it up how you'd wanted it to look, right? Pretty easy. I mean, it doesn't get much easier than that, honestly. You could just keep on, if you know how to draft, just draw it in, do whatever it is that you needed to do. Different columns, different lines, whatever it is. Easy peasy, easy business, really. We're not gonna keep this. We're gonna get out of all this stuff here. We're not gonna load into this particular thing, so we'll actually get out of this here spot. Do I want to save changes? No, I don't want anything to do with that. Do I want to no, cancel? No. Close? No, nobody cares. So I'm just going to close that off. Do I want to make changes to it? No, I don't care about that. I'm not going to save the project right just yet. We just barely started the talk on how to do this. Anyway, so we have that in there. We've got our sheets. Now we'll open it up. We've got this A103 unnamed. And how we're going to end up doing this now. If we'd like to put in views into the floor plan, or the floor plan into our paper space, it's pretty easy actually. You could just take, so you have your floor one, you can just drag that in. drag in your floor 1, and it should, oh, it's added quite a bit of space on that one. So what we have to do is actually go in here, view scale, we'll do custom, and we'll shrink that down quite a bit. Obviously, we can actually adjust what we're seeing. What this is actually doing right now is it'll print out on here exactly what it is that our view 1 or our floor 1 has in it. So if I go into floor 1 here and I wanted to get rid of, you know, the realistic view and have it so that it was wireframe or hidden line mode, then you could actually do that in this particular sort of put it into that mode, and then it will actually show it up as that mode. You can actually take a lot of these things if you wanted to get rid of, you know, what it's seeing in here. You can actually edit what it's seeing in that particular thing by, if you type in VV, it'll give you a list of things that you may or may not want to have into your into your particular drawing. So if you didn't want to have some of the stuff in here for the immediate bit of time, you certainly could click on whatever it was that you wanted to have. Maybe we'll get rid of the site. Topography. That looks good. Apply. Oh no, we still have the trees in there. Okay, we got rid of the planting. Okay, so we got our basic drawing back here. So then when we're looking at this, that has changed it. So that we could actually have this drawing in there, and we can just circle, like put this around wherever, drag it to where it makes sense. I'm going to suggest that probably, I mean, that wouldn't be a bad size, really. Like when you're printing it, obviously this border won't be what shows up. You're just having, you're having this all in there, and we could actually put that. We'll see what happens if we put that into realistic mode again, because it should just change it so that it was just the floor, right? You haven't got all your topography and all that stuff is in there. So you could have this whole thing just like this. But what we can do to make it, maybe it looks a little sharper. I don't know if a person wanted to change it up so that was slightly smaller. You can do a custom view up here in view scale and bring it all the way up to the top. And then at that point, you can type in whatever it is that you wanted. If it was 1 to 100, apply, and then there it is. So that's your scale for it, and it actually changes that up at the bottom of your drawing is 1 to 100. So you don't have to relabel that as 1 to 100 as you would in some drafting applications. You have to know what it is that your scale is going to be set up, and then label what that scale size is. But in this case, it kind of takes care of you a little bit, which is great. So then we have that one. We could, in fact, if we wanted to do a bunch of different things, put them in there. We've only got the one floor in here. Maybe I could take that down into 200. And when that lets us put that in there, let's set it off the side here. We don't want it off the side. We'll put it back on our paper. There we go. We'll throw that in there, and we could throw, one of the other types of views on here. Maybe want to have the our 3D view or something like that in there. We'll click that back on there. We'll drag maybe a 3D view into there. See what that does for us. Well, it's going to be fairly significant. Maybe we wouldn't want to have that in there, but yeah, see, that's going to be pretty big. In this particular one, it's coming in there also as a custom view. We've got it. Maybe we'll do that into 200, so everything's consistent, and we'll apply that. That puts our you wouldn't really want all of this in here like that at this point, I don't think, just because you'd have so much information on the side of this. You know, like when you have this all in there, this would end up printing into your area. You could change this up so it wasn't doing that maybe, but as I said, if you're doing it and moving it around, I just moved a little bit of topography in there. You don't really want to mess around with that too much. But if you wanted to get rid of that, as I said, you could change that up. I could actually do this bit so that one was maybe smaller even yet again. And we'll move that whole thing well, that's doing some pretty crazy thinking there. Back that off a bit. Back that off a bit. Clearly, that's not the correct thing that we want to have. We got that pretty well centered in there anyway. So right now we'll go back into here, and I'll switch it back down into this one here. Switch it down into 400. And we can move that one in there. I mean, that you wouldn't have those two views in there ever. I can't even imagine. But in this particular case, we've got it in there. I mean, it's just showing you that you could put a bunch of different views into the thing. If we wanted a 3D view 1, we drag that over. Throw that into the thing as well. We've got our grand piano in the foyer. There's just a ton of different things. Certainly you wouldn't, this isn't how professional drawings would be for the most part. I'm just showing you how you're throwing, you could throw these things in here. We could do 3D view 1, which should be our, I'm not sure which one that is, whether that's the rendering of, see, there we go. That's the 3D. That's the actual rendering then of the grand piano in the downstairs in the lobby. So you're in your foyer. I mean, you could certainly put in your renderings if you had any that you've done in there, and really make a show of it. Certainly, I could get rid of, say this bit in here. Get rid of that. We'll make some space, get rid of this one. If we were wanting to make a bit of a show of it, I could put the other rendering in here. And there's the whole house, or the whole building on the outside. I mean, clearly, if you have packages that you're handing into somebody, that would be an excellent way of showing, like the initial title pages. A lot of the times for the better sort of drawing packages, they will have things like this in their titles. So you'd end up having maybe a few pages of just showing how beautiful the building is, and then you might get into the actual drawings that matter to anybody constructing the building. I've been handed drawings where for just a house that were well over 200 pages long. So I mean, just because it's filled with things like this, where you're, showing all the hopes and dreams of what this building could look like, as well as the actual floor plans and electrical plans. You're gonna have a plan for, you might have a plan for your electrical system, your HVAC system, another plan for floors. Might have something to show your framing if there's any detail work. Your elevations will go in here separately, like as a separate file. So this is the time where you're organizing all of your project and throwing it in there and making it make sense to somebody else. So you want to be able to explain to somebody else what the best possible way of making to explain what you want this building to look like by the end of it. And there will be certain requirements, as I said, like municipalities will be 99.9% chance they're going to be wanting to have like these perspectives, like if you were to have the elevation views and such like that'll be essential, because they'll be wanting to see just like detail compared to the height of the property that's there. There's a lot of things that they'll want to see in their elevation view. They might want to see a section view of such a thing, just to sort of get an idea of what the inside of the building would look like. There's a lot of different things that they'll ask for, and you just got to ask them what it is that they're going to require for that. Most places will have no problem telling you exactly what their expectations are. Anyways, so we could put another page together on this, for example, and we've got one sheet in there, but we could put a new sheet in, and we'll use the same thing, Revit tutorial sheet, and put a second one in there. And this is named itself A104 unnamed, and there it is at the bottom. Like you can, rename all of that stuff. This is sheet A104. Now as we're doing this, then certainly you could put all of that information in there. And then for this one, as I said, we could do elevations on this. We'll drag in the east elevation for it. See where that gets us. It's going to be a fairly large sort of thing. We might want to get rid of the topographical view on that, so it can hold more of the image in as well. So if you're looking at that, I mean, you certainly can narrow out your views on it as well, if you wanted to. So if we had, I don't think I have this one open yet, but if I had that open, east elevation, then we should be able to, take and narrow it in our views a little bit of everything that's here, right? But okay, so in here anyways, if we wanted to change that up so that when we're adding that into the paper space, into our sheets, if we wanted to make that so that wasn't, all of this land, everything, like, because that is going into our drawing or into our label on the other side, right? So what we need to do is actually crop that, because that's easy enough. We'll go down to this bottom menu where it's got the light bulb and the angle and everything like that. Down at the bottom in this space, crop, we can grab this and we can actually move in the this frame here in a little bit. Move it in a little bit more if we wanted to. I mean, certainly, right up to the thing. But we'll leave up to there where we have some of the trees. Move it over off the side here. This is quite an extent. We certainly don't need it to be that wide. And there, that should be not too bad. So when we go back into our 104 unnamed, which is going to be our So we have this, it's not too bad for an elevation. We probably do want to, get that a little bit down, because we could move it over to the side, and then, as I said, it won't print beyond the borders, certainly, but we do want to have it so that it looks good in there. So we're going to go up to our view scale again under the properties and change that up to custom. And we'll put that into there at, 100 probably would be just fine, unless we wanted to put more of these in here, which we might. It's not a bad idea to put a bunch of the elevations in here. Certainly this is a big enough sheet of paper that you'll be able to make sense of quite a bit of what's going on here fairly easily. You could put it looks like we're putting it on a small piece of paper. If you think about that as not like the piece of paper that will come out of your home printer, this is clearly a piece of paper that's 2 foot by 3 foot, 2 feet wide or tall, I guess in this case, and 3 feet wide. So it's quite a significant piece of paper. So I'm going to switch the scale value to 200. I'll drop this down a little bit, make it a little bit more manageable. Once again, we'll grab this piece. Once it's done in there, just be able to grab it and throw it up into our paper space up here. Okay, so now we want to move this, now that we've put the scale back down into 200, we want to move that onto our paper space. So we'll put that up in here and throw that perspective in. And we can add another elevation if we'd like to. We'll put a north elevation. Actually, south is where we've got our entrances, so we'll open up the south elevation. Take a look at what we've got there. We'll probably have to narrow this down a little bit too, so that's why we just zipped in there. We'll show the cropped region down at the bottom again. That'll give us the ability to crop this drawing out a little bit. Make that a little bit smaller. We'll escape out of there, hit escape a couple times, go into our drawing that we've had here. So south, grab it straight off the menu and drag it, place it into the drawing here as such. That also is going to be the wrong size, so we'll end up custom scale again, and I believe we did that as 200 to fit it all on there. We'll do that again. And we can set that one in there like that, right? So if we were wanting to have this in there, we probably should label that, in fact, at that point, as far as what this is going to be, the what elevation view is that versus what elevation view is that one, right? In which case we can get into here with annotate. Should be able to get into there with that and use the text. This, I believe, was the east elevation. And this one here will be south. Move that to where it makes a little more sense for it to have been. Maybe up there. If we wanted to move the If we wanted to crop these boxes as well, we can certainly do that from this menu as well. We just double click on it, move stuff in, press OK. Not that that really changed our view very much, and we'll escape out of there, so we're back into our menu that we are trying to be in now. I think that's still sitting into the east elevation, so we'll open that up, escape out of there, make sure we're out of both those things. Anyway, so that's where that's at. We want to move this up and make that a little closer to there too. So now we have one that's east and one that's south in there. And if we look in here, as I said, we've got our scale is at 1 to 200, and there we have it. That's kind of how we get that bit going. Easy business, really. There's lots of other views you could have in there. Certainly, what the heck. While I'm in here, I could show you another couple views that might be interesting to put into your project. If you wanted to show up a video, for example, or not a video, a three-dimensional view, but of your floor plans, what you can do is actually go into your 3D views, open up your 3D, but what you want to do is actually duplicate that, duplicate the view, so you don't mess up your 3D view. We'll duplicate the view. We'll go into the 3D copy, and we can rename the view so that makes a little bit of sense. And we'll do 3D floor 1, because we'll make a 3D version of the floor 1. Oh, it's not letting me use those characters. Well, guess what? We're gonna name it something different then. 3D floor 1, FL1. That's still not wanted. Oh, it's them that's got the characters in there. Silly thing. It's not even me that's put that in. Rename. So maybe I'll 3D FL1. That should be happier. All right. So then in that case, we'll go back to go home, take a look at what we've got here. And this is in not our original 3D view, we're in our duplicated 3D view. So we go up into this view cube, and we can actually orient to view, and that's of floor plans, elevations, sections, 3D views, orient to views of different directions, orient to view from a plane. But what we want to do is orient to view of floor plans. So we have a floor plan as floor 1, and it's going to take a look at our floor plan with just as floor 1. So that actually is our three-dimensional view of floor 1. And we can actually crop this back in so that it takes out all the top topography as well. So it's not so crazy. Narrow this in. So we're just going to be looking at the one floor. Nothing too crazy going on, but now you can see that you're looking at floor 1, and you can set that up. There we go. A little bit of a three-dimensional view of floor 1, and we've got that one sort of saved up as that, right? So that's okay. And actually, I'll crop these in a little bit more so we don't have, once again, the topography for it. Make it a little bit wider over this way. There we go, not too bad. And now we can add that one into a drawing if we want to. So we'll go into Sheets, and on the browser, then click up, right click on where it says Sheets and go into New Sheet. And we've got our Revit tutorial, blah, blah, blah. That's what we want to use. And we can actually throw in our 3D view, 3D floor 1, throw that in there. And that's not too bad in there. That's been put into there as a 1:400 scale. Maybe we'll do 200 scale. Move all this in here. And then we can take, if we want to match that up with the floor 1, so the person can see it, certainly we could do that. Floor plan, floor 1. Throw that one in there. And there we go. I mean, that's pretty easy. If I took this view here, for example, another thing we could do, as we had the magic of being able to see it from another perspective, that way we can certainly add in a rendering if we wanted to as well. So we'll throw in a rendering. Well, don't get too crazy. I'll just put it under draft mode. This might become very dark because we're inside. No, we've put lights into this level. This should be, for the most part, should be okay. Just because the renderings, when you do them, what happens is that it will be. Oh, it's not responding. It's not liking me at all right now, that one. So there it's going. It's making a rendering of it. See if it lights us for the second time here. So we'll save that rendering in there, and in fact then makes us able to actually put, not that that would be much different than there. It didn't really look like it was a whole lot different than there, but we do have the, under here again in renderings, 3D floor 1. I'm going to throw that one in there as well if we wanted to. And that's the 3D rendering of what we already had up there. We could print all that off if we wanted to, make it look all spectacular or whatever. But yeah, that's pretty much it right there. I mean, you can certainly add in all kinds of different types of ways of printing stuff. Yeah, so if we were wanting to print that off, or we'd have to obviously have a fairly significant printer to print that off. We certainly could print that. If I was going in here, I can select a bunch of different things. I mean, there's my home printer, and that's fine. I could throw it into a. There's a bunch of options in here. If you had a plotter or a larger printer, you could do that. I've got a PDF sort of printer in mind that I can certainly use, that I could print this to PDF at this point and make a PDF sort of drawing of it, so that I could bring, if I didn't have the plotter at my place that I was drafting that up, the PDF I could certainly bring into whatever business location that will print off that size of paper, and get them to print off the PDFs into a full sheet if you wanted to. But anyways, that's it. That's where we're at with putting stuff onto paper. Then that's, you know, not too bad. Gets the job done. All right, thanks for watching the video.